Hi, it's Alexandra from Middlesized Garden, and I'm here at the National Fruit Collection at Brogdale in Kent to talk to head nurseryman David Morris about how to prune your espaliered apples and pears in the winter. We're at Grow, the fruit tree nursery at Brogdale, and I've asked David what the biggest mistake we home gardeners make when winter pruning our fruit trees. The biggest mistake you can make is not to prune enough, or not to prune at all, he says. People get really frightened of pruning, but you'll cause more damage to a fruit tree by not pruning it than by pruning it badly. So what equipment do we need? If your espaliered trees are very young, then all you need is a pair of good secateurs and some jute or other natural twine. Plastic or metal twine will cut into the growing wood. David uses Felco secateurs, as do I. If your espaliered fruit trees are several years old and have thicker branches, you'll also need a pruning saw and loppers for higher growth. If you're starting espaliered fruit trees from scratch, buy a single-stemmed maiden tree, plant it, and then get your wires in place and then make the first pruning cut. Make the cut just above the height of the first espaliered layer, because the two buds beneath will turn into your left and right-hand branches, while the one branch of the growth above will eventually give you several wands which you can select to take the tree up to the second layer. And then you repeat the process the following year to make the next tier until you eventually get to the height you want. One excellent tip David has is that when you're creating the next layer up, select and tie in your left and right hand branches before cutting away the stems you don't need. If you cut away all the other stems before you tie in the new growth, you may break a stem as you tie it in, and then you won't have any growth to replace it with. If your espaliered fruit trees are established, you need to prune them in January or February to keep them in shape. The winter prune is for the shape, said David. You'll need to prune it again in summer to maximise the fruit, but in winter you're only thinking about the wood growth. So I tackled my overgrown espalier apple trees with Salvatore, who's an expert pruner. First we looked at the overall shape of the trees and we removed a few crossing branches. We shorten the new growth that you want to keep and tie it in with the jute string. Do be careful how you cut. When you cut a branch away, make sure that the cut is close to the branch, but not completely flat with it. If you leave too much of the branch you're cutting away sticking out, you'll encourage twiggy growth there. You leave basically a small mound, and it should look clean. If you can't cut the branch cleanly with secateurs, that's when you need to use a pruning saw to leave it smooth. A jagged cut lets disease in. David says that espaliered fruit trees will always try to turn into ordinary fruit trees by growing up and out at the top, so you do need to keep pruning them to keep them under control. Although, of course, it's to your own taste. If you want the espaliered trees as a screen, let them grow the height you want the screen, or cut them down as low as you like. You can't damage espaliered fruit trees by letting them grow too high or too low. So there isn't any magic to winter pruning espaliered fruit trees, because it's quite easy to see which branches you want to keep. It's your tree, so leave the branches you want to see. Cut away the branches which go where you don't want them to. You can find links to the Grow nursery at Brogdale and the Brogdale National Fruit Collection and other useful links in the description below. And if your garden is larger than a courtyard but smaller than an acre, and you'd like weekly practical gardening tips and inspiration from other middle-sized gardens, then please do subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you, and see you next week, I hope. Bye!